Hi everybody, Brian Valerio, VP in the Proxy Solicitation Group at Alliance Advisors. And today I wanted to run through some of the key takeaways from Glass Lewis's recently published 2020 proxy season review. Now you can download the full reviews through the link below. There are two 2020 proxy season reviews for the US market that you might find interesting. One that covers overall voting trends and another one that specifically looks at shareholder proposals. So you can click on them, fill in some information, and download those reviews if you want to take a look for yourself. I'm just going to quickly run through what I thought were some of the key issues. We're not really going to dive too deeply into any of the issues, more just flag them and bring them to your attention that those were some of the key issues for the 2020 season as Glass Lewis saw them. So let's start right now with just the overall impression. Directors and compensation programs continue to see strong support in 2020. This isn't much change from what we've seen in recent years, but there are some specific issues that continue to pop up or have actually increased in importance and have led to increased opposition voting. So some of those issues are board gender diversity concerns. There are still boards out there that don't have sufficient female representation in the eyes of Glass Lewis and some other investors, and that has led to against voting for directors at those companies. There are also concerns about ongoing compensation issues, failing to adequately address shareholder opposition to prior years' say on pay, and that continues to manifest itself going forward in the subsequent years with against voting for compensation programs. We also continue to see some issues around board attendance. Directors who don't attend 75% of the aggregate board meetings and committee meetings on which they serve. So that could be a problem for directors. Overboarding continues to be a concern. It's actually probably an increased concern in recent years as the number of boards that some institutional investors think is too much for directors to serve on continues to shrink, and that number continues to lessen. Those restrictions become tighter. So that's something that continues to be an ongoing concern. And finally, just failing to respond adequately to either failed votes or the low say on pay votes in years prior will continue to plague some companies and some directors, and there will be some against voting for those trends. Some of the other things that we can point to, or Glass Lewis pointed to in the 2020 proxy season that I want to flag for you, the number of failed equity plan proposals more than doubled in 2020, so that was a big uptick. Still not an overwhelming number, but the trend is definitely increasing, so there is some scrutiny on these programs and something that you should consider prior to going out for one. And overall average investor support for shareholder resolutions actually declined this year slightly. It wasn't a noticeable difference, but it was a slight decline, which seems kind of counterintuitive given how much publicity shareholder proposals and the environmental and social issues have gotten recently. So to see the actual support have declined is slightly surprising. It could be due to some of the proposals getting negotiated away and some of the remaining proposals not being overly popular with the shareholder base, but those are something to keep in mind and look at going forward. Finally, in terms of the shareholder proposals, we saw a lot of human capital management issues in 2020. There were shareholder proposals on workforce diversity, sexual harassment, and other employment policies. So those were some of the the key issues that we saw for shareholder proposals in 2020. Finally, in terms of activism, Glass Lewis noticed that there was a significant decline in the number of activist campaigns in 2020. So those were some of the key issues that they highlighted in their proxy season reviews. If you have any questions, you can look at the full reports through that link below, or feel free to connect with me and we can talk through some of these issues. Thanks.